I'm going to walk you through some of the redistricting battles that have played out ahead of the November election and why they're important. Let's turn to New York. In New York, Democrats overplayed their hands during the November 2022 midterms, creating a set of maps that were favorable for them, to say the least. Those maps got struck down by a court, and a court-appointed special master ended up creating those lines instead. Those lines led Republicans to clinch a handful of seats in the Empire State, helping Republicans deliver their narrow majority in the House. Democrats wanted to avoid a similar fiasco heading into this November election, so they asked a court if a bipartisan commission could have a second shot at offering congressional lines.
The current congressional lines in New York were drawn by an unelected, out-of-state special master. New Yorkers should draw congressional lines for New Yorkers.
And while a bipartisan commission did end up offering a set of proposed House lines, they were rejected by the state legislature.
Ayes 17, nays 40.
The bill is defeated.
But fear not. The state legislature offered their own set of lines instead that were not that different from the bipartisan commissions and signed into law by Governor Kathy Hochul, and they placated both parties. Those lines now offer some very minor changes to Tom Suozzi in the 3rd District and to Pat Ryan in the 18th District, making their districts a little bit more favorably Democrat. And then for Republican Representative Brandon Williams in the 22nd District, his seat is a little bit more endangered as it leans a little bit more towards Biden heading into November. In North Carolina, Republicans are slated to gain 3 to 4 seats in their congressional delegation. And to understand that, we have to look back to the midterms. Before the midterms, the North Carolina Supreme Court had a liberal majority, but after the midterms, it flipped to a conservative one. The liberal majority had at one point ruled that a House map that was passed by lawmakers was an illegal gerrymander and was unconstitutional. That decision was revisited by the conservative majority on the North Carolina Supreme Court, which ended up paving the way for Republicans to create House lines that were even more favorable for them. So we're expected to see 10 seats that are leaning towards Republicans heading into the fall in the state. 3 seats are expected to lean Democrat, and 1 is considered competitive. That's different from what we see in North Carolina right now, where the congressional delegation is split 7-7. In Wisconsin, Democrats had hoped that the state Supreme Court would reconsider congressional lines. The Wisconsin Supreme Court, which has a liberal majority, ruled last year that the state's legislative maps had to be redrawn, and saying that they were not going to be considering what's called a least change approach. Least change means the least amount of changes to the current map. Democrats pointed to that ruling on the state legislative maps as reason for why the congressional map should be considered again. But the state Supreme Court decided that they were going to reject that bid. So the Wisconsin congressional lines are going to stay as they are. Right now, there's 6 Republicans in the House in Wisconsin and 2 House Democrats. In Alabama and Louisiana, Democrats are expected to gain 1 House seat in each state because the Supreme Court ruled last year that Alabama had likely violated the Voting Rights Act. Both states had seen Voting Rights Act's challenges to their House maps. So Alabama and Louisiana have been forced to implement the creation of a second Black majority district or something close to it.